Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Welcome to our incoming sixth grade families and new families. This session is social emotional support with our Mercer Island Youth and Family Services and our IMS counselors. And we're going to talk about why you might connect with a counselor, what do counselors do, and just some developmental information about your student coming into middle school. So first, who is your counseling team? We have school-based counselors and our Mercer Island Youth and Family Services counselors. Our Mercer Island Youth and Family Services counselors are Harry Brown and Kara Graham. And our school-based counselors are Drew Klein, Janet Goldstein, and Jana Dash. And we break up our caseloads by last names. And Drew Klein works with students and families A through G. Janet Goldstein works with students and families H through O, and Jana Dash works with students and families last names P through Z. So we just wanted to give you a little bit of information on how a counselor can help. Some differences between our Mercer Island Youth and Family Services counselors and our school-based counselors, and why you might contact us. We know that if you're coming from the elementary schools, a lot of times you might contact the principal when you have some concerns or you want to schedule a meeting with your student's teacher. Sometimes you need a referral to meet with the Mercer Island Youth and Family Services counselor. And at IMS, you can connect with the school-based counselors, Miss Goldstein, Miss Klein, and Miss Dash. And we're really kind of your point people to then figure out what the next steps are, including connecting with Kara Graham and Harry Brown. So you can see on this slide that the IMS school counselors and the Mercer Island Youth and Family Services counselors work very closely together. We work as a team. The IMS school counselors provide social emotional support with academics, peer conflict, family changes, stress and anxiety, peer mediation, and anything else that may come up for a student or a family we can help with. And Mercer Island Youth and Family Services counselors help with all of that as well. They're on site to provide a range of services, including individual counseling, facilitating your leadership development programs, family counseling, and consultation and teaching emotional self-care. Our IMS school counselors, in addition to providing mental health counseling in partnership with Youth and Family Services, also schedule parent-teacher conferences, manage student schedules, manage 504 plans, and support with academics and student self-advocacy. Basically, we work as a team. You can contact any of us at any time, but your school-based counselors will really be able to be your point person to then connect you with whoever you need to meet with from that point on with whatever concerns or needs that you have.
Hey, this is Harry Brown with Mercer Island Youth and Family Services, and we wanted to share some information with you about how to connect and communicate with your teen. And this first slide comes from the work of Dr. Daniel Siegel, famous neuropsychiatrist, who really coined the phrase "name it to tame it." And that's really about being able to name how you feel and have a really extensive emotional vocabulary. And there are times when all of us, our children and ourselves, might do what Dr. Siegel says is flip our lid when we're stressed, overwhelmed, something's going on, we don't feel we can manage it, and we lose it. We basically go into fight or flight mode. And one way to get out of that place of survival mode is to be able to name how we feel. And if you can do that, that's about modeling it for your teen as well. Taking a breath, naming that feeling, and getting to a place of calm where you can do the problem solving that needs to happen and really be able to regulate your emotional experience. So on this slide, we take a look at the 5 basics of parenting adolescents. And this comes from the work of a project on parenting adolescents done at Harvard. And it starts with love and connect. And that loving and connecting, this is a time to really continue to build the foundation that will carry you through not only middle school, but high school and into your youth, becoming young adults. And it's really about maintaining that connection. You might take some creativity because we know that adolescents are at a point where they want to differentiate, separate from you. And we as adults have to figure out how to stay connected with them. Oftentimes that's just being in the car when you're driving them around, really listening, hearing what's going on for them, talking less, asking fewer questions, and listening to what they have to say about what their experience is. The next is monitor and observe. If you were at Gated for the Night, you were participating in one of the activities that Mrs. Dash and I led about really recognizing 3 changes was the activity we did. And it's really about observing what's going on with your child, what's going on with their friends, being aware of who they're becoming, different things they're trying and exploring, and supporting them in that. And also, if you have concerns, being able to reach out to somebody and let them know what is going on and what you are concerned about. Number 3 is guide and limit. It's really a time to be that guide, continue to open doors for your child, but also be clear about what the limits are. And the limits can have to do with screen time. They could have to do with time with friends. It could have to do with any number of things, but having clear boundaries and supporting them in their development with that. Number 4 is model and consult. And it goes back to what I was talking about, being able to name it or tame it. If they see you managing your own distress at times, they're going to be able to do that themselves, because it's more than telling them what to do, but really living it. And then being that consultant to your child. This shift from being a parent of an elementary school young person to a middle schooler is a shift in parenting. It's not so much dictating what's going to happen next, but bringing your child into the mix, having family meetings, engaging them in what the schedule is going to be on the weekends. What are we going to do for fun? Making sure pleasurable family activities are part of what's happening. So really shifting to being that consultant to them, and then providing and advocating. And not only you being the only advocate, but teaching your child how to advocate for themselves, helping them write emails or messages on Schoology to their teachers, helping them learn how to be self-advocates, but also being there, opening those doors, exploring with them what they want to do, what are their interests, and supporting them and following their own passions.
Hi, Kara Graham here with MIYFS, and I'm going to talk about an exciting new resource that is available to the parenting community here on Mercer Island. The launch of this website was the 2-year collaboration, and what you're seeing here on the screen is the homepage of parentingmercerisland.org. There's also a QR code here where you can get a link directly to it. On the site, parents and those in a parenting role will learn skills to address everyday challenges, like creating a homework routine, supporting reading, managing anger, and how to talk to your child about substance abuse, anxiety, friends and peer conflicts, things like that, as well as learning social and emotional skills. So, next slide. This resource, if you go to Getting Started or even on the homepage, is really easy to navigate. It includes tools that are organized developmentally by the age of your child. And the tools also use a 5-step, easy to use process that includes what actions to take and the specific words to say to help build your relationship and strengthen communication with your child. You can search by age and variety of issues, of topics to address with your child. And last, this is a really great feature. You can actually link this to your smartphone as an app or a widget on your homepage, so that you can listen to any of these tools that have audio recordings of the entire 5-step process for whichever topic you are choosing. So it's like having a podcast right with you wherever you're going. You can listen to it in the car, on headphones while you're waiting in the pickup line. And it's a great way to just access these tools at any time. Thank you.
So as far as what you can do as a parent to help support your students' transition academically to the middle school, first we just want to acknowledge that it is a big leap. You're going from elementary school where your student had one teacher to the middle school where they potentially have 6 different teachers, and that creates a big demand on them. They'll have more schoolwork, and trying to remember what they did in first period when they get back at the end of the day can be challenging for some students. It is a big organizational jump, and organization is developmental. And so some students will get this rather easily and make the transition smoothly, whereas others might need quite a bit of help still, and that's okay. Because it's developmental, every student gets it at a different time. And we just want to remind you that the struggle can be really productive. It's okay to be learning and trying new things. Middle school really is about figuring out yourself as a learner. And sometimes that involves having some struggles and picking yourself back up again, learning from it, and making changes. At home, you can really help with this transition. We encourage parents to, at first, really sit down together and look through things with their student. So regularly sitting down with your student, looking at Schoology, asking them to show you how the application works, where you can find the homework, what assignments they're working on. They can even show you what they've submitted. And then also periodically checking in on Skyward. So there's a separate presentation about the differences between Schoology and Skyward, but Schoology is really a great resource for the students to use as far as accessing what they did in class and their homework, and Skyward is more the tool to see how they've done on the assignments that count as those summative assignments and assessments. It can be really helpful for some students to define a consistent place to get schoolwork done. Some prefer the quiet of their own room, whereas others might do better sitting at the kitchen table where there's somebody walking by periodically to double check that they're still on task and doing what they need to be doing. For some students, it can feel overwhelming to sit down and start working on their tasks, and so it might help them to predict how much time it will take them to do an assignment. They can even set a timer and start to see how accurate they are at predicting how long it will take them to get that work done. And this really just helps with time management overall. Something else that you can do is encourage them to reward themselves and take breaks. Most students don't have the stamina to sit for long periods at a time. And so kind of learning themselves as learners when they might need a break. And, the reward could just be getting up and going for a walk and setting a timer when they're going to come back. And then the last one is maybe helping them remove some of those distractions. Many middle schoolers have phones, and those can be hard for some to resist while they're getting work done. And so that might be something that just stays in a agreed upon space while the homework's getting done.
So to wrap up, to remind you, what can a counselor help with? We help with all different concerns that come up, or challenges, or places that your student may need some help advocating. So we help with academic concerns or difficulties, social emotional support, conflicts with peers, family changes or transitions, and anything else you can think of. No problem too big or too small is what we tell your students when we introduce ourselves at the beginning of the year. And that applies for families as well. We are just here to help and figure out what the next steps are in supporting you with whatever has come up for you and your family. How can a student or you contact a counselor? We're accessible by email. Your student can message us on Schoology. Your student can stop by our offices at any time and just ask to schedule an appointment. We're in the lunchroom most days, and we also run lunch groups throughout the year that your students will learn about when we introduce ourselves. We also, times that we meet with students, our school-based counselors mostly meet with students during the day, and we pick a period that works best for your student. Our youth and family services counselors are also sometimes available after school for individual sessions, and they can schedule that directly with you depending on the referral and the need. But sometimes families are wondering how and when do you meet with students? And really, we just work with you and your family on what the best time is to connect, and how long and how often, depending on the need. Really, we are just here to help in any way that we can. We look at ourselves as your point person as you move into Islander Middle School to help you manage and transition with your student together. So we very much look forward to meeting all of you next school year, and please don't hesitate to reach out at any time.